Thanks for that, Sander. Right, now, I've been having a chat with Bob Proctor off there, talking about names. I won't tell you about that. But what's more important is, Bob, I think the opening line of amongst the many things Bob Proctor has done, talking about, what, some people are born rich. No, everybody's born rich. Is that what you're saying?
That's right.
And this is what it says. Every human being has been born rich. It's just that most people are temporarily a little short of money. Now, if that's got you interested, which I think it should, then stay tuned for the next half an hour, because we talk to Bob Proctor, life coach, and author of that book, You Were Born Rich, and many other things, including The Secret as well. We'll talk to Bob about all those things. So great chatting with you. Well, what are you doing in this country?
I'm here doing different events, doing a lot of media coverage. We have a company here called Makes You Think. Anybody can go to makesyoutthink.co.za, and the Born Rich book, they can download it free. It gives them pretty good overview of everything that I teach. But I'm here. We're doing an event tomorrow in Monte Casino for 3 hours tomorrow afternoon. And
what is it? One of those feel good to motivate you?
Well,
tell me if I'm on the wrong track on this one here.
No, it is motivating. It's make you feel good. But it helps you understand why you do what you do and why you don't do what you don't do. I went through a tremendous metamorphosis in my own life 50 years ago. I was 26, and I had lost, I was losing, I got kicked out of school after 2 months high school. I had no business experience, and my income went from $4,000 to $175,000, then it went over $1 million, and I had to ask why. And I realized that most of the things I had been taught as a kid were not true. I was raised to believe if you're going to earn a lot of money, you got to be really smart.
Okay.
Well, I was earning a lot of money, and I wasn't really smart.
Okay.
I was raised to believe if you're going to build a business, you've got to have a good formal education. I had a couple of months high school. I built a business that operated in 7 cities in 3 different countries, Canada, the U.S., and England. So then I started to think, I wonder how many other things I've been taught that aren't true. Like we're taught that we're different. We were talking about your name outside, and I said, Ashraf, that means something. And he said, I don't know what it means. Well, then I ask you, you say it means noble. Many places in the world, the person's name has a meaning. And I said, it's generally an uplifting meaning. It's meant to set up a good vibration, meant to make you feel good. And I said, where I come from, the names have no meaning.
And Bob said Bob means nothing. Backwards and frontwards still doesn't mean too much. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you say? But most people are the same as opposed to different?
No. We're all exactly the same, but we grow up different. Our paradigms are different. Our culture's different. You have a culture in your family. You have one in the country. You have one in a company. And culture is group habit. We have a group habit on an individual basis, or you can call it a paradigm. A paradigm is a multitude of habits. Each individual has a paradigm. It's genetic and it's environmental. So before you have the ability to even talk, a lot of your programming is already done that's going to dictate the course of your life. Now, you can change that. It takes a fair amount of work and it takes understanding. Some people change it and they don't know what they've done. They're called unconscious competence. They do well, but they don't know why they're doing well. And so we put it down, well, they're smart. Some of them aren't very smart at all. You'll find people walking the street right here who are absolutely brilliant and they're broke. And you'll find others who are functionally illiterate. They can neither read nor write and are earning millions of dollars.
So what does that tell us?
It tells us that we know very little about ourselves. School teaches us virtually nothing about ourselves. We're not taught how to think. Thinking is not a subject that's taught in school, and yet it should be. You can teach a person to think just the same as you can teach typing or playing the piano, but we don't do that. And yet thinking is the highest function we're capable of, and all the great leaders, all down through history, I don't care where you go, they have all been in complete unanimous agreement that we become what we think about. Well, what most people think about, well, it's whatever's going on in their life.
All right.
And they let the outside world control them.
Okay, I'm interested in the story. Bob Proctor is my guest for the next, up to 3 o'clock, in fact. If you want to join the conversation, please do so. 0891 104 207, 0891 104 207. Ask questions, comments as well. So, Bob, what do I call you? Life coach, professional coach, what?
You call me one. I see myself as a salesperson.
And you're selling what?
I'm selling ideas. I'm selling ideas. I sell people on themselves. I have a company. We operate in 94 countries, but I have a lady that runs the company. She's the CEO and the president of the company, and I'm out teaching the information. I originate it, I create it, and then I sell it.
Do you find, and I mean, I heard this a long, long time ago, that the first thing you need to teach people is to be motivated. I mean, it may not be directly in answer to what we're discussing, but there's relationships there that ultimately you can give a person $1 million, but if you still don't know how to run their lives, they will lose all that money anyway.
Well, that's been proved. I mean, you just go and take a look at the people that won lotteries. There's lotteries running everywhere now, especially in North America. I mean, you can buy tickets in every store for lotteries. And people win millions of dollars, and in nothing flat, they're broke. The family don't talk to each other. They're divorced. They're sick. They're not in harmony with the money. It's a bad thing.
And that's because of what?
Well, they have a poverty consciousness. You take and give a lot of money to a person that has a poverty consciousness, and you knock them right out of balance. They don't know what to do with it, so they start squandering it. Most of them spend it all and go into debt, deeply into debt, because they all of a sudden have a pretty good credit rating because they've got all these millions of dollars. And so when the money's gone, then they start charging it. And usually, most of them end up broke, unhappy, sick, because they got something that they're not in harmony with.
And then they say, who wants to win the lottery? Yeah.
I don't want to win a thing. I want to earn it. And I think earning money is the way you want to get. It's the only way to get it. I always say the people that make money are either working in a mint, they're in jail, or on their way.
Okay, let's get to
everybody else earns it.
I want to get to the callers. Kim in KwaZulu-Natal. We'll start with you. Hi, Kim. We've lost Kim. Kim, let me just see if I can get you back on the line if you're okay now. Hi, Kim.
Yeah, hi. Can
yes.
you hear me?
Sound coming through, but okay, sort of a buzz coming through. Just make your point if you can.
Hi, Ashraf. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go for it. Yes.
Yeah, Ashraf. Once again, great, interesting interview. You seem to bring some amazing people onto your show.
Well, blame it on myself entirely. Combination.
He attracts them.
Ashraf, this man is talking the kind of language I like to hear. It's just so crazy. It's all so simple what he's saying, and yet, once again, I phoned you the other day when you were interviewing, I think it was Lee, who had left school at 16 and had done so well, blah-de-blah. And, I mean, schools. My ex-wife, who's a philosopher, has been talking about trying to get critical thinking into schools. It's as he said, it's like teaching people how to play a musical instrument. It's so simple, and yet they're not doing it. Our minds are tools. They're the most brilliant tools in the world. We should use them as tools and not sort of like clamp ourselves into a little corner and completely, just waste what is probably the most incredible tool in the world. And we need more of this kind of stuff.
Okay, I think Bob will endorse everything you've just said. Thanks for that. Thanks for that, Kim. Indeed.
Okay, sure.
Right, let's move on there. Okay, there's something going on wrong with the systems here. Blame it on somebody. I'm not too sure who to blame. Maybe we don't have to blame anybody. Just say that's the reality. Let's get to the other callers. 0891 104 207. Before I get to Pat and Alec, I just want to ask you, because you know there's going to be skeptics, people who either call in and people who may not call in who are saying, here's another whole lot of rubbish. Another guy from the USA selling us this live bigger story. And
Ashraf, do you know what I've learned? I've traveled all over the world for 43 years. I've studied this for 50 years. I've never seen one statue built to a critic. Not one.
Not one statue built
to a critic.
To a critic, okay. So
all they're doing is finding out what's wrong. They should look for what's right.
Okay, let's see if Alec knows what's right. Hello, Alec. Alec, hi.
Hello. How
yes,
you guys?
You're on the air. Good man.
Hello, Alec.
Good man. I'm not going to go on the statue one, but I'd like to say that we shouldn't only input critical thinking into schools. I think we actually need to put it into our politicians, our professionals, and our experts, because they all seem to lack quite a bit of it. When I initially heard your introduction, Ashraf, I must admit I thought, here we go, another snake oil advert.
Okay, well, there you are.
But when I heard that your guest had walked the talk, I became suitably interested and impressed, and listened to what he had to say and wholly agree with him. I'm not sure about the statue one, though. I don't know if that's really a relevant objective. But anyway, that said, I'd like to know if you can tell us on the air what business he was in, how he made his money, because that would be quite interesting. But I think more importantly, going back to the thing we discussed yesterday with your guest, was the X factor. And the point we made there was, what was the net difference between, let's say, the maximum performer and the minimum performer, and what is the degree of difference? Because I think that's quite an important factor for anybody to become motivated or self-motivated, is to have some sort of self-belief. And I think a lot, as he says, we are very, very conditioned by the time we get out of the system, or on the other side of the education system. We are very conditioned.
Okay.
I have a lot of clients and a lot of associates who have succeeded immensely without any kind of formal education. In fact, were great rebels at school and all the rest of it, and they've actually done exceptionally well.
Okay.
And in fact, that almost seems to be the criteria for success.
All right, Alec, I'm gonna have to let you go. But just by the way,
if you could just discuss that issue, is there such a great difference between these best performers and these worst performers?
Okay, good.
Because
Good
it's
question.
very important in the executive remuneration argument.
All right. Now listen.
I'd like to hear your comments on
Before you go, by the way,
Yes.
last week somebody asked for your details when you made some comments, and I have not mentioned it on the air. So now, in 20 seconds, give me one contact number or website address.
083 66 99
Yep.
224.
083 6699 224.
Correct. I did send you an email with it, Ashraf.
I know. That's why
Ashraf-
I haven't.
Ashraf Ali Saif.
I haven't
Yes.
announced it. My apologies. Okay. Thanks for that.
No, I just want to make sure whether you got it or not.
Okay. No, I do. I have got it. Thanks
Okay.
for that, Alec. Right. Let's respond to Alec. The difference between the achievers and the non.
The difference between the achievers and non-achievers is in their paradigm. Like, I was a non-achiever. I lost. I wasn't any good in school. They finally kicked me out of school. I couldn't hold a job. I mean, I didn't do it.
But you made money, and you said so. So
No,
how then did you make
first,
money?
First, I did nothing. And then I got into the book Think and Grow Rich, and a man gave it to me. He said, do exactly what I tell you and what I'm pointing out in the book. I set a goal of having $25,000. I really didn't believe it would happen, but I believed in his belief, and so I did what he suggested. That got me thinking of earning money. I started to think of earning money. I started to hear people talking about it. Now, you'd think, well, weren't you doing that before? No, I was thinking of debt. If your goal is to get out of debt, you're going to stay in debt forever because that's what you're thinking about. Someone said there's good money cleaning floors. I said, well, I'm not proud. I'll clean floors. I bought a used floor machine, and I started washing floors. And in less than 5 years, I was cleaning floors Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, and London, England. But I wasn't really talking to the cleaners about floors. I was teaching them this material. I had got Earl Nightingale's recordings. He was a broadcaster in Chicago.
Everyone knows him, yeah.
Yeah, and I got his recordings. I had Think and Grow Rich book, and I started to teach this to the cleaners, and I get them setting goals. And everything started to grow, and the thing went like a rocket. But I didn't know what I was doing. When somebody said, what'd you do? I said, well, I'm cleaning floors. But a lot of people were cleaning floors, and they weren't winning. And then I started to think, what happened to me? And so I started to study. And I started to try and figure out, why did I change? And what I did, I changed my paradigm through the repetition of listening to Earl Nightingale's recordings and reading this book. I would drive around with a battery-operated record player. This is in the 60s. And I almost killed myself trying to balance a record and listen to it. But what I was doing was reprogramming my mind. And you've got to reprogram your mind because your mind is programmed. It's programmed genetically.
Okay, so do I take it then at your talk tomorrow, Monte Casino?
Yes.
Right. And any other talks in
No,
South
that's
Africa?
it. Then I'm out of here.
Just the
Yeah.
one, right? So you're going to teach people what?
I'm going to show them. I'm going to show them how the paradigm was formed, why they're getting the results they're getting, and then I'm going to show them how a paradigm can change and the results they will be getting. See, most people want to earn more money. The average individual hasn't got any idea how to earn money. They get a job and go to work. That's the very worst way to earn money. We should go to work for satisfaction. We don't go to work for money. We go to work for satisfaction.
So when people say, thank goodness I have a job, you tell them what?
Well, a job is an acronym for just over broke. I said, forget it. Do what you love. Spend your days doing what you love. Earning money is something different. You earn money by providing service. I was providing service last night when I was sleeping here. I was earning money somewhere else. You can earn more money when you're sleeping than you can spend when you're awake, but most people don't know that. Wealthy people historically have always had multiple sources of income. They don't have one. They have many sources of income. You earn money by providing service. You go to work for satisfaction. We're raised to believe you go to work to earn money. That's the worst way to go to work.
Let me ask you this. If what you're saying is true, that...
Oh, it is true.
No, if what you're saying that we need to be taught how to think.
We do.
We're not doing it at the moment, and I agree with you. And if everybody does that, then in 20 years' time, someone like yourself, in fact, will be out of a job. Meaning, Your story
they would
won't
create more jobs.
No, but your concept will be out. I'm not saying it negatively. I'm saying because hopefully what you're telling us now, 30 years too late, would have been told to a grade 5 child.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Do you believe, therefore, that the system of the world, where 5% of the world controls the wealth of everybody else, is geared, and that status quo is put in place to ensure that this never happens?
I think
that means there's a vested interest. I
think that probably was true at one time. I think that's changing. There's been a spiritual shift in consciousness of people worldwide over the past 25 years. I've seen an enormous change. Keep in mind, I've studied this now for 50 years, so I've seen a big change. I think probably at one time that was true. I don't think it's necessarily true anymore. I think a lot of people would like to keep it that way, but they're people that really don't understand the laws of life. Like what we have is all going to belong to somebody else when we're gone. So you never really own anything. You're a distributor. You're somebody that uses it, but you don't own it. You own nothing.
So you should be in pursuit of what? Happiness over wealth?
Well, no, you should be in pursuit of something. You should be in pursuit of a new objective. Goals are not set to get stuff. Goals are set to grow. Our objective here is to develop a greater degree of awareness. As people listen to this show, they're developing a greater degree of awareness. And I'm taking it from some of the guests you have on. That's one of your objectives of your show, is to wake people up to different things that they're not thinking about. See, if most people said what they were thinking, Earl Nightingale used to say they would be speechless. And I'm inclined to agree with him. If you listen to most people, what they're saying, it's obvious they're not thinking or they'd never say it. They're usually repeating something that they heard or read.
So how do you know? Well, before that, let me just remind listeners, I'm chatting to Bob Proctor, who was trying to get us to start thinking in a serious way. Bob Proctor is from the USA, done lots of things. If you remember him from the film The Secret, been a guest on international networks as well. And he is I'm saying life coach. He says a professional coach, but certainly gets us thinking. Also author of the best-selling book called You Were Born Rich. And made the point, just Google it, find it. You can download that free and mahala. I'll get your calls as well. So call in right now, 0891 104 207, 0891 104 207. So we'll probably take 3 calls in a row very quickly, so you need to do that quickly. Right, let's, how do you know then somebody's thinking? When you, forget your seminars, in your daily interactions, as you walk upstairs from the SABC reception to walking up here, you've probably interacted with 5 or 6 people in the lifts. It's a great opportunity to meet up in Boston. How do you know they're thinking the way they ought to be thinking?
Well, most people are not. They're operating by rote. They've got a job and they come in and they do the same thing in and out every day. To think, you really have got to provoke yourself. You have to ask yourself, why? Why am I doing this? Is it what I really want to do? Is it drawing the best out of me? Why am I thinking I can't accomplish something? I'm the highest form of creation on the planet. A person's really got to begin to think, and we don't. Very few people, a very small select group of people think. And I believe they're the kind of people you want to mix with. Get with people that stretch their mind, that are trying to figure out how to do something that's really meaningful in life, rather than just get by. See, I don't think we were given the potential we were given just to get by. Now, I'll often look at a person that's maybe digging a ditch and wonder why they're not a neurosurgeon. See, they're endowed with faculties beyond the scope of our imagination, and we're never taught how to develop them.
So therein comes a huge responsibility. Okay, let's get to the callers. I'm going to go to Pat first in Freiburg. Hi, Pat.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Well, I would like to start by saying that, okay, dogs can think too, but they can't ask why. So for me, I think that paradigms cannot be genetically based. They are more linguistic. I mean, even the word gene is a word. So it is more the ability to manipulate words and symbols that we are able to conquer the paradigm and understand how to shift paradigm. So I don't think it has anything to do with your genes, but more to do with your ability to manipulate words. So what do you think of that?
Okay, let's get a response. Thanks for that, Pat. Right.
I don't necessarily agree with you. First of all, dogs can't think. Dogs have a simple form of consciousness. The dog can know something, but it doesn't know it knows it. You're talking about simple consciousness versus self-conscious. And if you really study genetics, why do you look so much like your relatives? Why do you have all the little idiosyncrasies that maybe your grandparents had or your aunt and uncle have? It's because built right into the genes are the habit patterns, the DNA from your mother and father, and that forms the nucleus of you. So there is definitely genetic conditioning. There's all kinds of documented proof about this.
But then what should we be doing? Trying to break that mold?
We should be trying to break it, because a lot of the habits that we have were formed by people a few generations ago that didn't have a very great awareness. Almost all of our belief systems we inherit. Very few people originate their beliefs. They inherited them, and we should ask ourselves, why do I believe that? We should investigate our beliefs, really check them out. And most of them are pretty ridiculous. Like, I believed I could not do well because I hadn't gone to school. That's not true. Some of the greatest people in the world have never seen the inside of a school. I believed I couldn't earn any money because I hadn't gone to school. Well, none of this is true, but we're raised with that concept. There's people right now, I was on an interview this morning, they said, what about all of these students that have gone to school, they borrowed money to go to school, and now they can't find work? I said, well, the problem is they believed a lie. They believed if they went and got a degree that they would find a good job and get good pay.
So what should they have been told then? We all tell our kids that, listen, guys, just get a degree. You need to learn something.
Well, first of all, we should start teaching them what an education is. Education comes from the Latin educo, meaning to educe, to develop, or to draw from within. We've got genius locked up within us. All the knowledge and all the power of the universe is omnipresent. That means everywhere, evenly present. So that means within us. Education is drawing it out. It's not putting information into our head. It's becoming aware of what we've already got within us. I mean, we're walking dynamos. If you just study the body, it would blow you away. Like, there's about 40 million kilowatt hours per pound potential energy locked up in the electrons in your body.
So what should we do? Get our kids out of school right now?
Sometimes that's not a bad idea. I think what we ought to do is make damn sure they have a good teacher. And we want to get them to understand that school is teaching them where to find information. But going to school is, and this isn't an indictment against school, I just think we're missing a lot. We're not teaching them what we should be teaching them in school. Kids come out of school and they know virtually nothing about themselves. We think we go to school.
They've learned rote. Okay,
they don't teach you how to earn money in school.
Okay, let's get to Newcastle now. Not in the UK, in South Africa. It's on the line. Hello.
Hello, how are you, Ashraf?
I'm great, man. Good.
Good. Okay, I do concur with some of the stuff that your guest is saying there. And I just want to say, I think some of the things that make people not to succeed in life is because they look down on themselves, They don't know that there's something great that is invested inside each and every individual, and inside them they just think success is for certain people and they cannot make it. I think the main thing is the thinking, how they think about themselves and looking down on themselves. And
so, but if you think they've looked down on themselves, then has the system failed them, sir?
Come again?
If too many people, and we know this, it's true, too many people look down upon themselves, then has the system failed them that causes them to think the way they do?
Yeah, it could have been engineered, to make people think in a certain way, not believing in themselves, believing that somebody will do this for them, or believing only certain people can achieve those goals and not them, So there could have been, somebody who fiddled with the system somewhere to make people think in a certain way. And again, I see there's this thing of people think money will solve their problem. You get less people who actually pursue a purpose. Everybody is just pursuing money.
Okay, let's get a response. Thanks for that call. Let's get a response. Yeah,
I agree with them 100%. You're talking about self-image or self-esteem. Dr. Maxwell Maltz wrote the book Psycho-Cybernetics back in 1960. And cybernetics is the science of control and communication in the animal in some machine. We've got a cybernetic mechanism. That's our self-image. And we will never grow beyond the image that we have of ourselves. A child that's raised with a lot of criticism is going to grow up very insecure. A child that's raised...
But if they raise the image, they can...
They can change it. Oh, yes, they can change the image. I had a very low self-esteem, very low self-image, and I changed my image. I started to become aware of who I was. My belief was that I wasn't very good. And your belief system is based upon your evaluation of something. Frequently, if you reevaluate a situation, your belief about that situation will change. My belief about who I was and what I was capable of doing changed dramatically by starting to understand me. We've got phenomenal power locked up within us.
Okay, I'm going to take one more call, then we'll get you to wrap up. or maybe 2 calls at most if you can be pretty quick. Moronga in Vosloorus. Hello. Hi, Moronga.
Hello.
Yes, you're on the air. Go for it.
Yeah, you know what I wanted to say, Ashraf, and good afternoon. What you must know is that we were denied education for a very long time. And when education came, it was pumped in the radios, in the media, in whoever, that if you're not educated, that was said to our children, if you're not educated, you'll never get a job. You must do IT, you must do that. In so much that the people who had experience without education were left out. That is why COSATU came with a document that, what's this? The experience that you had must be taken into consideration when you are employed. So today what is happening is that the people who had prior learning are not recognized, and then those who are educated and having degrees are also are not recognized. So I do agree with this guy. We left people who have the know-how. The know-how that can be taken out and put into something that can give them papers at the end of the day, because what they lack only is papers. They are boiler makers, they are what, and they taught the majority of company managers today.
Okay, I'm going to leave it there.
Okay,
thanks for that. Thanks for that point. Right. I mean, in effect, she's reiterating a lot of what you've
exactly.
Said, right?
No, she's right. We see the problem is the understanding of what education is. We think you go to school, you retain a bit of knowledge, you answer the questions, and you're educated. We've got all kinds of people wandering the street with degrees, and they don't know how to find work. They're educated derelicts.
We've got a minute and a half to go, so I'm rushing this one. Does that mean, A, we need to tear up our CVs? When people say send your CV and you list your qualifications, should we rewrite it?
Well, I don't know if we should tear up CVs, but I think we should certainly check out a CV. I don't go by what I see on a CV. I want to know what the person's done. I want to interview the person. I want to find out what the results are, and I want to find out if they're willing to change.
But the problem is to get into the door, you first have to pass that first test. So your CV.
Well, there's different ways of getting in the door. I really believe there is. Listen, I couldn't get a job sweeping floors at IBM in Toronto. By the way, I'm not from the United States. I'm from Canada.
Are you Canadian?
But that's okay. My office is in the United States. But I couldn't get a job at IBM sweeping floors. And yet they hire me to train their managers, and they pay me more for a day than they pay their managers in a month. So there's ways of getting in the door without filling out the application form. I don't have enough formal education to get a half-decent job, and yet I can create a business that operates all over the world. So we've got to get the idea of education and self-image. We've got to understand who we are and what we are, and there's a hell of a lot more in us than meets the eye.
We're smack bang on news time. I'm going to tell you what I need to do is right. Let me just get some facts. Website makesyoutthink.co.za, makesyoutthink.co.za. And you can download the book that we spoke about earlier. And your book is called You Were Born Rich. And you can also get tickets to tomorrow's lecture by Bob Proctor. Where do you get the tickets from?
You can get them on the site, makesyoutthink.co.za. You can get tickets there to go to Monte Casino. I'm on for 3 hours tomorrow afternoon.
What time?
From 1 to 4.
No, we've got a show on.
Registration.
You need to be on the show, yeah. I mean, that's what I want you to do. Because I'm just scared if now that you're there, people won't be listening to me, they'll be listening to you. Anyway, right, give me one line, just one line if you can, that is reflective of someone who's really thinking.
They are not following the crowd. Most people wander like sheep, one after another. If you're going to follow people and you see a large group of people going one way and one or two going the other way, follow the one or two. You'll probably never make another mistake as long as you live.
We'll think about that one. Bob Proctor,
I want to congratulate you on your show. I enjoyed this.
Pleasure. Glad. Anytime. Hopefully we'll do it lots more in the future as well.
You got
Bob
a noble name.
I know, and you know that too. You were born rich. Lots more from Bob Proctor. I'll give you those details once again. But right now, as we get to the news at 3 years asunder. At 3 years asunder. At 3 years asunder. At 3 years.